On a blistering afternoon in the central Kalahari, a man named Karoha set off on foot after a kudu, an antelope that can outrun a racehorse over open ground. He carried no gun, no bow, no spear, nothing but a digging stick and the shirt on his back. 3 hours and 35 minutes later, he had chased that animal roughly 35 kilometers across the desert, nearly the distance of a marathon, until it collapsed in the heat, unable to take another step, and he walked up and touched it with his hands. It was filmed. David Attenborough narrated it. And what it captured may be the oldest form of hunting on Earth, a way of killing that is older than the bow, older than the spear, possibly 2 million years old. It works because of one quiet thing your body is doing right now, without you even noticing, and almost no other animal alive can do it. This is the human wild, where the past is still alive in you. Today, how a slow, weak, clawless human can run one of the fastest animals on the plains to death, using no weapon at all. You'll learn the single biological advantage that makes it possible, why the hottest part of the day is the hunter's greatest weapon, and the real documented hunts recorded with the last people on Earth who still do it. You'll also hear the honest scientific fight over what this really means for our past. This is hunter-gatherer survival stripped to its purest form. A body, a mind, and the patience to outlast something faster than you. Start with how badly matched this contest is, because the mismatch is the whole story. A human being is a poor excuse for a predator. We have no claws, no fangs, no killing bite. We are not strong, not by the standards of the animals around us, and we are slow. A kudu, a gemsbok, a wildebeest, any of them will leave a sprinting human standing in seconds. Over 100 meters, it isn't even a contest. The animal is simply gone. By every measure that usually decides a hunt, speed, strength, weapons, the human loses badly every time. So, for most of the day, a person on foot has no chance at all against a healthy antelope. And that is exactly why the persistence hunt doesn't happen at just any time of day. It happens at the very worst time, the murderous middle of the afternoon, when the sun sits at its peak and the heat comes off the sand in waves. The hunters wait for it. They choose the hottest hours deliberately, and they choose the hottest days. Why would anyone run in that? Because the contest was never really about speed. It's about heat. Change the question from who is faster to who can keep moving without cooking from the inside, and the entire ranking flips. The animal that wins every sprint begins to lose, and the slow, sweaty, upright creature that couldn't catch anything in a dash suddenly holds a winning hand it can play for hours. The whole strategy, then, is not to outrun the antelope. No human can. It's to never let it rest, to keep it moving through the heat, again and again, denying it the shade it desperately needs, until its own body temperature climbs past the point it can survive. The hunter isn't chasing the animal down, he's heating it up. And to understand how a human can possibly win that, you have to understand the one thing our bodies do better than almost any creature alive. Here it is. The weapon that kills the kudu isn't in the hunter's hands, it's in his skin. He sweats. It sounds almost too ordinary to matter, but human sweating is one of the most extraordinary cooling systems in the entire animal kingdom, and the numbers back that up. No other species is known to sweat as much per patch of skin as a human being does. Our skin is studded with millions of sweat glands, and combined with our near hairless bodies, that turns the whole surface of a person into a living radiator, one that keeps shedding heat while the body is still moving at full effort, mile after mile, under the midday sun. Now look at the antelope, because the antelope has no such thing. To cool itself, it has to pant. And here is the trap that the entire hunt exploits, a hidden flaw built into the body of a galloping animal. When a four-legged animal runs flat out, its internal organs slide back and forth with every stride, slamming against its lungs like a piston. That locks its breathing to its gait, roughly 1 breath per stride, whether it wants to or not. Which means it physically cannot pant hard, the fast, shallow breathing it needs to dump heat while it is galloping. The two motions fight each other. To cool down, it must slow down. To keep running, it must let its temperature rise. You have no such limit. Because you run upright on 2 legs, your breathing is completely disconnected from your stride. You can breathe fast or slow, deep or shallow, in any rhythm you like, while running at any pace. You can run and cool at the very same time, for hours. The antelope cannot. That single difference, decoupled breathing plus a body that sweats, is the entire engine of the hunt, and the cooling system is only half of it. The rest of your body is quietly built for exactly this, in ways you never notice. The scientists Dennis Bramble and Daniel Lieberman, in a landmark 2004 paper in the journal Nature, catalogued more than 24 features of the human body that seem specialized for running long distances, traits you won't find in a chimpanzee. Your Achilles tendon and the arch of your foot act as springs, storing and returning energy with every stride so you burn less. A large muscle you rarely think about, the gluteus maximus, the biggest muscle in your body, fires hard when you run, but barely engages when you walk. It's a running muscle. Even a small ligament at the back of your skull exists to keep your head steady while everything else bounces. You are not a clumsy sprinter who happens to jog. You are a purpose-built endurance machine that happens to be slow off the line. So picture what actually happens out there across the afternoon. The animal bolts, fast, easy, gone in a cloud of dust. Then it has to stop, sides heaving, trying to shed the heat it just built up. And just as it begins to cool, the hunter reappears at a steady jog, and the animal must bolt again, this time starting from a higher body temperature than before. Sprint, stop, sprint, stop. Each burst beginning a little hotter than the last, while the sweating human simply keeps coming at the same relentless pace. The animal is sprinting, the human is pacing, and slowly, invisibly, the gap between them stops being about speed and starts being about temperature, a number climbing steadily inside the antelope toward a ceiling no mammal can cross. This is not a theory or a guess about the deep past. We know it works because it has been watched, measured and filmed, and the man who documented it nearly died proving it. His name is Liebenberg, a South African who went into the central Kalahari in the 1980s to study tracking with San hunters. In 1990, near a place called Lone Tree, he joined a band of hunters chasing a kudu, and, untrained and in the killing heat, he ran the persistence hunt himself. It very nearly killed him. Liebenberg has described how, deep into the chase, he became so dehydrated that he stopped sweating altogether. The exact cooling system this whole hunt depends on had shut down inside his own body. The only liquid in reach was the water in the dead animal's stomach, and he went for it, but the hunters stopped him because the kudu had been feeding on a leaf toxic to humans. By his own account, if one of the San hadn't run back to camp to fetch water, he would have died out there in the sand. That is how fine the margin is, even for the human, the supposed winner. But it was his second famous hunt that the world actually saw. In 2001, Liebenberg worked with a BBC film crew and a master tracker named Karoha Langwane to record a persistence hunt for David Attenborough's series, The Life of Mammals. They tracked the route with a GPS device. On the 13th of October, 2001, Karoha ran down a kudu bull in a single continuous chase lasting 3 hours and 35 minutes, covering around 35 kilometers of open desert. ending with an animal too overheated to move. That footage has since been seen by tens of millions of people, and it remains the clearest proof on film that this hunt is real. Kalahari wasn't just an athlete, he became a scientist. He went on to co-author papers in serious academic journals and used GPS software to gather wildlife data as a professional tracker. And here is the poignant part of his story. Kalahari has since passed away. When Liebenberg wrote about these hunts, he described himself as a witness to the final days of a tradition dating back 2 million years. He meant it literally. The men who could do this are nearly all gone. And the Kalahari-san are not the only people who carried this ability into modern memory. On the other side of the planet, in the canyon country of northern Mexico, the Raramuri, better known as the Tarahumara, are famous for running extraordinary distances through rough terrain, and accounts describe them running down deer over the course of a day or more until the animals were exhausted. Their very name is often translated as something like light-footed or running people. Two peoples, separated by an ocean and by tens of thousands of years of history, arriving at the same astonishing idea that a human on foot, patient enough, can outlast almost anything that runs. That's not a local trick. That's a window onto something deep and universal about the human body. Now, this channel would rather be accurate than dramatic, so here are two honest complications the tidy version usually leaves out. The first is about the water. It's tempting to imagine every one of these hunts as a lone man with nothing surviving on grit alone. But Liebenberg is candid in his own research that during most of the filmed and observed hunts, the hunters were given water from an accompanying vehicle. That does not make the feat any less astonishing. Running down a kudu across 35 kilometers of desert is superhuman by any measure, but it does raise a real scientific question. How long could a hunter keep this up with no water at all? The longest fully documented successful hunt Liebenberg recorded lasted around 5 hours. Beyond that, dehydration itself may be the true limit, which is exactly why the title's 8 hours is the outer edge of what is humanly plausible, not a routine afternoon. The second complication is bigger, and it cuts to the heart of what this hunt means. You'll often hear that persistence hunting is how early humans hunted, and that it shaped our whole bodies. That's a genuine, influential idea, but it is fiercely debated. In 2007, anthropologists Travis Pickering and Henry Bunn published a pointed challenge. Persistence hunting, they argued, is extraordinarily rare even today, practiced only in a few arid places, and demands such advanced tracking that early humans may not have been capable of it. They suggested our ancestors may have used their endurance more for scavenging, reaching carcasses before rivals, than for the dramatic chase. Others have pointed out you might even persistence hunt by walking, not running at all. So where does that leave us? With something more honest and more interesting than the myth. It is established beyond doubt that humans are superb endurance runners, and that persistence hunting genuinely works and genuinely happened. What remains debated is how central it really was to making us human. Anyone who tells you that part is settled in either direction is overselling it. And that uncertainty isn't a weakness in the story. It's real science, still arguing with itself over the origins of your own legs. There's a part of this hunt that gets forgotten in all the talk of running, and without it, the whole thing collapses because the animal keeps vanishing. A kudu doesn't run in a straight line across an empty plain. It bolts out of sight into thick brush across hard pan that takes no print, through ground churned by dozens of other animals. Again and again the hunter loses sight of his specific target, and so between the bursts of running, he has to do something extraordinary at a jog in the heat for hours. He has to track. He has to pick out the prints of that one animal from all the others, read how fresh they are, and when the trail simply disappears on hard ground, do the hardest thing of all. Liebenberg gave this its proper name, speculative tracking. When the tracks run out, the master tracker doesn't stop and search. He forms a hypothesis about where the animal is going, from the lie of the land, the water, the animal's own state of mind, and he runs directly to where he predicts the tracks will reappear and looks for them there. If he's right, he's saved priceless minutes. If he's wrong, he revises and tries again. Stop and notice the shape of that. Gather evidence. Build a model of something you cannot see. Predict, test, revise. That is the scientific method, running through a hunter's mind on the savannah, possibly long before there were laboratories. Liebenberg argues persistence hunting and tracking together may sit near the very origin of science itself. And as he tracks, he reads the animal's body failing in the marks it leaves. The stride shortens. The hooves begin to drag, kicking up more sand. The clean prints of a healthy animal turn ragged. He's not just following the kudu, he's reading its exhaustion, written in the dirt and timing the moment it will finally break. The running and the tracking are not two separate skills, they are two halves of one weapon. Neither works without the other. Step back and look at what this stripped-down hunt really reveals about us. We define ourselves by our tools, the species that wins by building things. But persistence hunting needs almost nothing built at all. No bow, no blade, no trap. The entire toolkit is a body that sweats, a mind that can read the land, and the sheer will to keep going long after the body begs to stop. It may be the purest hunt there has ever been, human against animal, with nothing between them but heat, time, and patience. And it flips the oldest story we tell about early people, that they were feeble, frightened things cowering from a world of fangs. In this one arena, the soft, slow human was the apex predator, and the fastest animals on the plain were the prey. And here is the part that comes home to you. That body, the sweating skin, the decoupled breath, the long spring-loaded legs, the steady head, is not a museum piece. You are carrying every bit of it right now. The same equipment that ran a kudu to death in the Kalahari is the equipment that carries an ordinary person around a park on a Sunday morning. We didn't lose this ability when we invented the chair and the car. We just stopped needing it and forgot we ever had it. When a modern runner grinds out the final miles of a marathon, they are doing, a little reluctantly, after years in a chair, the exact thing 2 million years shaped them to do. That's the quiet lesson under the whole astonishing story. We were never the strongest animal on the plain or the fastest. We were the one that would not stop. And that refusal to stop, the body that outlasts, the mind that keeps a goal in view for hours across an empty landscape, may be as close to the core of what we are as anything we've ever built. So the next time you picture our distant ancestors as slow, soft and helpless, remember the hunter at noon, jogging steadily across the Kalahari, while the fastest animal on the plain runs itself to death trying to escape him. No weapon, no speed, just a body that wouldn't overheat and a mind that wouldn't quit. They weren't the strongest, they weren't the fastest, they were the ones who never stopped, and that turned out to be enough to conquer a world. If you want to see another way, these same hunters turned deep knowledge into a weapon. There is a hunt that needs no running at all, just a tiny beetle dug from the sand and a poison strange enough to bring down a giraffe. And it might be the only thing more astonishing than this. This is the human wild. Keep moving. I'll see you out there.